Good morning. Great to be with you again. Let's do our opening song, and then we're going to read some books about hope today with a hopeful story. All right, make the sign for hello, make the sign for friends. Hello, friends. Hello, friends. Hello, friends. It's time to read a book. Oh, I see signs of hope all around me. I see flowers just starting to bud. I see sun shining. I see trees starting to get little buds on them, right? And what else have I seen? I've seen people wearing masks to protect each other. I've seen people getting vaccinations, and I've gotten one myself. Oh, there's signs of hope everywhere. So let's read some books. I know it's been a long year. It's been 1 year, right, since the pandemic started, and since we had to stay inside more, or if we were going to be outside with other people, we have to wear masks. So it's been a strange year. Yeah. And this is a book called Outside, Inside, and it's kind of about this past year by Nguyen Pham. Something strange happened on an unremarkable day just before the season changed. Remember last year, just before the season changed into spring, everybody who was outside went inside. Remember that? All of a sudden, we all were supposed to stay in our houses for a while, right? Everybody who was outside went inside. Everyone, everywhere, all over the world. Everyone just went inside, shut their doors, and waited. Well, almost everyone. Some people needed to be I see ambulance drivers and doctors and nurses and grocery store workers and firefighters and hospital workers. Some people needed to be where they needed to be. Maybe you have moms and dads and aunts and uncles and grandmas and grandpas who are doctors or nurses or helpers of various kinds, and they needed to go to work to help all of us, didn't they? They needed to be where they needed to be. Outside, the sky was quiet. We didn't hear so many airplanes going by, but the wind still blew, and birds kept singing. Raccoons came out, and squirrels played in the streets. There weren't so many cars, right? But the cars stayed away. The world felt a little different. Inside, we baked and cooked, made music, watched TV, we read and played games. Some of us worked a little. Some of us worked a lot, and some of us couldn't work at all. We all felt a little different. Probably some of you went to school, some of you couldn't go to school, some of you went to school on a computer. So many differences. Outside there were fences, both real and pretend. Swings sat still, and slides were lonely. Bells didn't ring, and halls were empty. We had birthdays without parties, shared words without sounds. Here's somebody having parties with drive-through, waving and honking, and reached each other without touching. The world was changing a tiny bit outside. Inside, we waited and we worried. We laughed and we cried and we tried to breathe. We made things together and did things alone. We hoped and prayed and wished. We were all changing a tiny bit inside. Outside, the world kept growing. See the plants growing and the butterflies. The world kept growing. Inside, we kept growing too. Here's her parent making a height chart for her. So why did we all go inside? Well, there were lots of reasons, but mostly because everyone knew it was the right thing to do. I should tell you that the author said that all the faces in these pictures are of real people, so either people she knows or people she saw on TV that were helping and things like that. So that's pretty cool. Because everyone knew it was the right thing to do. On the outside, we are all different. But on the inside, we are all the same. We are all humans, aren't we? And we remembered that soon spring would come. Spring is a sign of hope, right? We knew that things would get better. We remembered that spring would come. And inside, check this out, hopefully, and outside. I don't know if I'll be able to hold it all for you, but can you see that? Inside and outside, spring would come. We know that eventually we'll be able to see our families and play with our friends, right? Spring will come. In fact, it's starting to happen. That's a neat book, isn't it? A nice reminder of the past year. And eventually we'll be able to do story time together again. Just not quite yet, but it will come. So let's read, speaking of spring, let's read another book called Over in the Meadow. It's by John Langstaff and illustrations by Fyodor Rojankovsky. I tried to look up how to pronounce that, and I think I've got that right. And this is kind of an older book, and it's also a song. So if you know the song, please sing along. And it's a song about baby animals. And we see more and more of those in the spring, don't we? They give us hope. All right. Over in the meadow, in the sand, in the sun, lived an old mother turtle and her little turtle one. Dig, said the mother, I dig, said the one. So he dug and was glad in the sand, in the sun. It's nice to be glad. Hope makes us glad. Over in the meadow where the tall grass grew, lived an old mother red fox and her little foxes, two. 1, 2. Run, said the mother, we run, said the two. So they ran and were glad where the tall grass grew. Over in the meadow, in a nest in a tree, lived an old mother robin and her little birdies 3. Sing, said the mother, we sing, said the 3. 1, 2, 3. So they sang and were glad in their nest in the tree. in the meadow by a tall sycamore. That's a kind of tree. I have one in my front yard. Lived an old mother chipmunk and her little chipmunks 4. Play, said the mother, we play, said the 4. So they played and were glad by the tall sycamore. What comes next after 4? Over in the meadow in a new little hive lived an old mother queen bee and her honey bees 5. Hum, said the mother, we hum, said the bee 5. So they hummed and were glad in their new little hive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the mother. Over in the meadow in a dam built of sticks lived an old mother beaver and her little beavers 6. Build, said the mother, we build, said the 6. So they built and were glad in the dam built of sticks. Look at those busy beavers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the mom. If you live near Asylum Lake, or if you live in Kalamazoo and you know Asylum Lake, there's a really nice beaver dam, beaver lodge that you can walk and go see, and you can see a whole bunch of trees that the beavers have cut down. Over in the meadow in the green wet bogs lived an old mother froggy and her 7 pollywogs. Swim, said the mother, we swim, said the wogs. So they swam and were glad in the green wet bogs. Pollywogs are baby frogs before they grow up into bigger frogs. Over in the meadow as the day grew late lived an old mother owl and her little owls 8. Wink, said the mother, we wink, said the 8. So they winked and were glad as the day grew late. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 little owls winking. Over in the meadow in a web on the pine lived an old mother spider and her little spiders 9. Spin, said the mother, we spin, said the 9. So they spun and were glad in their web on the pine. After 9, what comes next? Over in the meadow in a warm little den lived an old mother rabbit and her little bunnies 10. Hop, said the mother, we hop, said the 10. So they hopped and were glad in their warm little den. Oh, and there's all the animals. There are all the animals. Over in the meadow, and here at the end of the book are the notes for the music. Isn't that a nice one? To remind us of spring and baby animals and other things that give us hope. Let's do Zoom Zoom, and we'll do one other story that's pretty cool, I think. Zoom, 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 we're going to the moon. Zoom, 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 we're going to the moon. If you want to take a trip, climb aboard my rocket ship. Zoom, 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 we're going to the moon. Countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off! Yeah, that's counting backwards, right? When we count down, we're counting backwards. And the Over in the Meadow song counted forwards, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. Our last book today, and then we'll do a little art project, how about, is called Kafka and the Doll. And Kafka was an author. So this is based on a true story. It's inspired by a true story. And he was an author a long time ago. But the author of our story today is Larissa Tooley and illustrated by Rebecca Green. So Kafka and the Doll. I wonder what this could be about. Okay, here's Franz Kafka. and his partner maybe. One autumn day, the writer, Franz Kafka, and Dora Diamond strolled through a park in Berlin. Here they go, stroll, stroll, stroll. Berlin is a city in Germany. Kafka held a basket filled with potatoes and a jar of milk. His hat was set at an angle, and he walked deep in thought. He's thinking about two things. A story he was struggling to finish, because he's a writer, and lunch. So he's thinking about two things. He kicked through leaves, pulling at the collar of his shirt and pausing to cough into his handkerchief. Nearby, a girl stood crying. Kafka said, "Why the tears?" "My doll is lost," said the girl. "I see," said Kafka. "What is her name?" "Soupsy." "And you are?" "Irma." Kafka nodded. "I thought as much. Your Soupsy is not lost, but traveling, as dolls like to do. She wrote you a letter." Irma frowned. "Where's the letter?" "At home, in the pocket of my overcoat," said Kafka. "I'm a volunteer postman, you see. I will bring you the letter tomorrow. Just now, I'm off to lunch." Irma's frown deepened. Kafka said, "Potatoes, if you must know." The following day, Irma waited. Kafka delivered the letter. He gave her hope, right? Because she's missing her doll, but he gave her hope that maybe, she would hear from her doll again. And here's the letter. October 23rd, 1923, so that's almost 100 years ago, 98 years ago. "Darling Irma, forgive me for not saying goodbye. The bicycle was passing, the basket lay empty, and I did not think. I simply jumped in. I have always been one for adventure, as you know. Please do not be cross. I am on a train on my way to go hiking. The air here smells like those flowers your mother likes so well. I never did learn their name. You are always in my heart. Soupsy." So here's the girl, Irma, but here's her doll, Soupsy, and her doll is writing letters to her while she travels. "Well," said Kafka, "she went hiking." He nodded. "It's a beautiful time of year for hiking. She'll write again, of course. People on adventures like to tell about them." So here's another letter from the next day, October 24th, 1923. "Irma, I hiked to the very top. As I write, I am watching the sunrise from above a cloud. The world turns softly purple, which is not my favorite color. But when the world wears it, I think it's just fine. You are always in my heart. Soupsy." "And," said Kafka, "she hiked to the very top. Bravo." Oh, here's another letter. October 25th, 1923. "Hello, I am in Paris and have eaten croissants for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. In fact, I have eaten nothing but what pleases me since leaving Berlin. How can I face a carrot stick when I might have a peppermint stick? What use to me is a bowl of peas when I might have creme brulee? You are always in my heart. Soupsy." Here's her doll, Soupsy, having a wonderful time in Paris. You can see the Eiffel Tower. That's a sign that they're in Paris. A famous landmark. "I don't understand this drawing," said Irma. Kafka studied the postcard. "Obviously, it's the countryside. Here's the cottage, a goat." Irma took back the card. "It's a rabbit, not a goat." "Yes," said Kafka. "I see it now." Soupsy traveled to England and had tea with Peter Rabbit. In Barcelona, that's in Spain, she joined Gaudí for his daily walk. He knew wonderful things about architecture. In Morocco, she had warm sponge and mint tea. She tried to ride a camel, but wasn't sure how, and dodged neatly away when it spat at her. Oh, the adventures Soupsy is having. Oh, here she is in Egypt with the Sphinx. She visited the pyramids in Egypt and wondered at the vast expanse of beauty and sand stretching out below, writing to Irma that her heart was hurting in a way that told her it was growing. Soupsy wrote at every stop, but the letters grew short. November 8th, 1923. Dearest Irma, I'm riding down the Nile, that's a river, on a boat with my new friends. They're teaching me Arabic, and I'm teaching them German. Salam. Yes. Why so unhappy? Said Kafka. All of me is growing, said Irma. Mama says I need new shoes. Kafka studied his own shoes. These will last. Leaves blew in little cyclones around their feet. Kafka pulled out his handkerchief. My grandpa had that cough, said Irma. It never went away. One day, Kafka did not visit the market, and so he did not walk through the park. Irma waited. She walked home. Again she waited. Look at her, waiting. Again, she walked home. Where is Herr Kafka? Demanded Irma. So now his partner is visiting her. He has a headache behind his eyes that won't go away, said Dora, but never would he neglect his obligations as postman. A letter for you from your Soupsy. November 11th, 1923. Irma, keen on traveling though I am, I miss you. I miss you like apples miss their trees. You are always in my heart. I hope I am always in yours. Soupsy. You are, whispered Irma. You are. Oh, you're pale, said Irma. Kafka smiled. You miss nothing. Hesitantly, Irma held out her hand. A certainty came over her. This letter would be the last. November 12th, 1923. Dearest Irma, I have signed on for an expedition to the desolate ends of Antarctica. The journey will be long and arduous. My job is to break up the ice with a pickaxe so that the boat can go through. Letter writing, I fear, will be impossible. And so this is goodbye. You are bold and you are brave, and I am proud to have been, for a time, your beloved doll, your Soupsy. Irma folded the letter. She left on an expedition. Expeditions are grand affairs from what I understand. Important discoveries to be made and all that, said Kafka. She won't be back, said Irma. All through the park, barren trees poked fingers into the belly of the gray sky. Someday I will travel, said Irma. I'd like to ride a camel, be on guard for spitting. I know about that already. And carry a notebook and pen with you wherever you go, so that your adventures remain, said Kafka. His shoulders folded in as he coughed. Irma waited. Kafka straightened, his smile gentle. Goodbye now, Irma. Goodbye, Herr Kafka. Their warm breath clung fiercely to the cold air, then blew softly away. one to play and explore, and one, finally, to sleep. Oh, and there she is. Look, as she grew up, what did she do? She went and rode a camel and traveled. So, yeah, isn't that a nice story about hope? I think Irma and Kafka gave each other hope. Yeah. And apparently this is based on a real story. Apparently Franz Kafka did meet a girl in a park and write letters to her from her doll. Pretty nice. So speaking of hope and spring and waiting for better times, I thought maybe we could draw a picture of things that give us hope. And I also thought it might be fun if you do draw a picture, if you want to. You don't have to, of course. If you do draw a picture of things that give you hope, I thought it might be fun if you wanted to bring it into the bookstore, and we will collect them in a folder, and then we will hang them up on a string in the bookstore. So I'd love to have you make a picture about things that bring you hope, and we will hang it up at the store if you can bring it in sometime, right? So I'm just gonna make a quick little one here. I'm gonna write the word hope at the top of my page. Hope is spelled H-O-P-E. Now, if you can write, you can do that, or if you can have an adult write it for you, or you don't have to write the word, whatever you want. And let's think about some things that that I think bring me hope. I think rainbows can bring me hope. When I see a rainbow, I feel happy and hopeful about the world. So I'm going to make a rainbow, red, orange, yellow. I'm going to try not to take too long here. Green, blue, oops, call this indigo, and violet, right? That's one thing that gives me hope. Another thing that gives me hope is new flowers in the spring. Let's see. What are some of the first flowers to come out? Usually they're little crocuses and daffodils, right? I'm not too good at daffodils. I'll make tulips. they're out pretty early too, right? New flowers, right? What other things give me hope? Oh, I know. I love to see people being kind and helpful to each other by wearing masks. That gives me hope that we can get done with this pandemic and be on to other things, right? There's a mask, a person wearing a mask. And what else gives me hope? Oh, my family. That's going to take a while. My family's getting bigger because I have kids and in-law kids and grandkids. So I'll just start making a family here and we'll go on. Maybe I'll finish it afterward. So my kids and grandkids and sons-in-laws, and I'll keep making those later. What else gives me hope? Oh, I know. The vaccine gives me hope. The scientists who made the vaccine and the fact that so many people are getting the vaccine. So I'll try to make a little syringe that gives people the vaccine. What else gives me hope? Some of you may think of your friends that give you hope, your grandparents, or maybe symbols from your faith or your religion, or What other sign? Oh, birds maybe, trees. What else can give you? Oh, climbing mountains. That gives me hope. If I could make a mountain real quick. Oh boy. Yeah. I don't know. I bet you guys can think of so many things that give you hope and give you energy and all that kind of stuff, right? So that's the beginning of my picture anyway. And I'm going to try to take this into the store and hang it up. And if you guys can bring some in, that would be awesome. I'd love to see your pictures. Well, thanks for reading books about hope with me today. And it's been 1 year and we're still going. Let's sing the goodbye song, and I still miss you so much, but I will see you sometime. Goodbye, friends. Goodbye, friends. Goodbye, friends. It's time to say goodbye. Thanks for joining me. Have a good week.